Good morning, everyone. Nice to have you join us. So, when you hop on and you're joining live or on the replay, please say hello. Please say where you're tuning in from and also share what you found valuable in today's live coaching. So, my special guest today is Linda Jordan. Now, Linda is a real estate investor, a leader in her community, and a servant leader to all. She is a certified coach, trainer, and teacher with the John Maxwell Leadership Team. And Linda's also a certified life coach where she helps individuals balance work-life challenges. And that's something Linda and I have in common as well. So welcome. I'm so happy to have you as my guest.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit. Oh, look, Asa's joining from Chicago. Hey, Asa. Nice to have you with us. And thank you for your service, because I know you're a veteran and we're doing this on Veterans Day. So I want to just
Yes.
do a shout out and acknowledge you. I mean, aren't you enjoying all of the pictures that our veterans are sharing when they were like young and buff?
I know, right? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, today is a special day. I have family. Actually, four of my brothers and sisters were military. So yes, I did it early this morning. Happy Veterans Day to all individuals, including family.
Thank you. Thank you for presencing that. And so that kind of brings us to, something I really want to focus on is presencing what's going on in our world, in our communities, in our with our followers and fans, with everything that's been going on in the world, and how leaders get to step up. So tell us a little bit, just, I briefly read your bio, but a little bit about, your background and your experience and your superpowers.
One of their superpowers. But a little bit about my background is, born and raised in a small town in Virginia, moved to North Carolina to go to college. And so that's where I got all my education and started my career in corporate America, which lasted almost 28 years. My goal was to, get that 30 years, but, it kind of didn't work out. But also here in North Carolina, found the love of my life, my husband, 28 years, and we have a daughter, 26 years old. So those are my true passions. That's my why when I get up every single day. When it comes to leadership, I would say, my experiences have been predominantly in corporate America, and as a business owner. But for me, the most important component of being a leader is, number one, I always had an open door policy for my staff. Come right on in, have a conversation. And one of the things that I do pride myself in what I did as a leader was every morning on my way to my office, back then, of course, we'd have an office, I would go and greet every staff member because I wanted to know, how are they feeling that moment in the day? Because the way that you feel in the moment of the morning is how you're going to most likely end your day, or how you're going to be throughout your day. So to me, that gave me a true understanding of where people were. If they weren't as productive that day, I'm okay with that because I knew they had something that they had to deal with, whether it was personal or whatever it was. But we as leaders need to step up, and we need to be more patient. We need to understand and know our employees, because you can't make assumptions on where people are, where they want to be, unless you ask them.
Exactly. And making sure that they feel seen and heard by you as a leader. One of the things that I've noticed, especially on social media, with some of the leaders that I follow, some of the communities that I've been in that are specifically leadership communities, has been the reluctance to presence, I guess, for lack of a better word, the elephant in the room. People, we're in America, we're in the United States. People are feeling all kinds of ways about what's going on with COVID, with the racial situation, and with the political situation, and the divide that we have, all of these sides, each wanting to be right, each wanting to be, be a winner.
Right.
Everybody really creating a win-win. We want a winner and a loser. And so one of the things that I have been looking for to people that I follow, and had been fans of is like, how are they addressing and checking in with their communities? How are they presencing what their followers might be feeling?
Mm-hmm.
You, with all of your experience in leadership, especially with John Maxwell, what is your take on all of this, and how would you recommend people, even in their own lives, in their own bubble, step up their leadership?
I would say from a community perspective, number one, you need to first of all do a pulse to see how is your community feeling. What are people experiencing? What are they going through? Everybody's going through different challenges right now, whether it's financial or it's homeschooling or having to work from home, excuse me, or having to have lost their jobs and now looking for employment, because that impacts how they feel in the community. So if there's no connection around what's happening, then they may start to feel isolated. So within the John Maxwell team, one of the things I've been doing is sharing with municipalities around diversity inclusion training, and that's called Another Seat at the Table. And so it's about having the tough conversations that we as leaders don't want to have. We just don't want to do it. We
Why
just
do you
figure if we
think
just
that is? Really, why do you think leaders don't want to have these conversations right now?
I think I will say from my experience in corporate, they don't want to have those conversations because they're not sure how to respond.
Mm.
There's an assumption that when you're in leadership that you have all the answers. You're the know all be all.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, a lot of leaders don't have all the answers. They're afraid to ask someone because their job is to know. And so I think that's one of the reasons that prevents leaders from stepping up. Some will step up, and for those that are doing it, I applaud all of you that are doing it. But there are some that are not stepping up to really get to the core of what's going on. So what happens is, for employees, if the leaders don't step up to have these difficult conversations, you and I both know what's the next thing. They're going to transfer, find another job, do something different, go where they feel belong, have a sense of engagement. But leaders have this fear of, not wanting people to know that they don't know something. I think that's the greatest challenge.
That's really where the core of the problem is, because I think the more vulnerable and authentic and intimate we get with just where we are right now, because I am the first to say, I don't have all the answers. I'm growing just like everyone. This is, 2020 has hit us from several different sides that have given us an opportunity to expand and grow into a new level of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I've made a commitment to is, as I learn things that I feel will be valuable to my community, I share it and I ask for feedback. But I don't, the avoidance, the denial is the drumbeat of a lot of the negativity that we have in this country and in this community, the communities that we are in, is to ignore it and go away.
Yeah.
Like in my years of dental hygiene, we used to say, ignore your teeth and they will go away.
And that is so true.
And so, the fear of needing to be right, needing to be righteous, needing to have all of the answers. And I'm just going to say it out there. To me, it's just really selfish. And it should not prevent you from just acknowledging, like, look, what are you guys feeling? I want to acknowledge it. I want to presence it. I want to be present to it so that I could serve you better. But
Right.
it doesn't mean I have all the answers. And I think that's where a lot of leaders are getting it wrong. You don't need all the answers to feel seen, heard, and acknowledged, right?
Exactly. Because together, in having those conversations, we can come up with a resolution.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? There's that initial fear, and I'm not sure. I mean, other than having conversations, providing more training to help leaders know it's okay not to have the answer. Because as you said, when you're vulnerable and you say, great question, I really don't have an answer, people will respect you more. The employees will respect you more because they know you're being authentic. You're not hiding behind, the glass wall about, well, I don't really have to talk about that right now.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to talk about it at some point, because if it continues, people can only take but so much pressure.
Yeah. It feels tone deaf and insensitive not to at least presence it.
Well, while I was in corporate, what I could say is they would take notice of the issue. They'll do the training.
Mhm.
But if there's anything that has to be done afterwards, that follow up, those heart to heart conversations, sometimes they don't happen.
Mhm.
But it would happen when an issue comes up and it has to go to HR.
Yeah. So for people who are not in corporate and are not in that structure, how could they step up in their own lives and have these difficult conversations? Because the same fear is there, whether you're at the dinner table with, your husband and he's a Democrat and you're a Republican, or, North Carolina has a lot of history of the South,
Yeah,
Jim Crow laws. And even though, we are in a new era right now, there are some remnants of a lot of this stuff around. How, I know you have a lot of leadership training. What would you advise people to do to actually open up conversations, even though they're uncomfortable? And so that's the thing. People don't want to be uncomfortable as well. So like, if I don't say anything, we don't have to
it'll
have
go away.
but I look at it, and I'll just share mine real quick, as an opportunity of getting to know people better and
Hmm.
and what drives them and what their intention is, and to really hear their hearts and see their hearts and really get to the core of, I'm interested, I'm curious, why do you feel this way? Why do you feel like, say for example, your rights are being imposed on if you wear a mask? Your rights more important than the rights of other people, is what I would ask. Like,
Right,
where is the generosity? And like, "Ugh, this is uncomfortable." But
right,
I know there are people out there who really may, be affected if I don't. So,
right.
how can we be stronger leaders personally?
I think we can be stronger leaders personally if we are true to ourselves, first of all, and then just, meet people where they are. And
Excellent.
oftentimes we don't meet people where they are. We make assumptions.
Mhm.
But as a leader, in whatever capacity that you're in, you have to meet people where they are. And once you do that, then the conversation really it starts. The flow of the conversation is so much better because people feel respected. Number one, they feel appreciated and they feel valued.
Mhm.
But if we don't do that and we just want to, be a dictator, then people just automatically not going to happen. But if you meet people where they are, it is so, so different. And, I've had different experiences where I've had to meet people that didn't look like me and they were expecting me to look like them. But, I met them where they were. We
Mhm.
had the conversation. We both recognized that, yeah, you don't talk like a Caucasian female on the phone because they didn't see me. But when they saw me, they were like, oh my gosh. And this was during a presentation. There was an assumption of who I was
Oops.
and waiting, for some to come and get me. And I'm like, okay, did they forget? Because I got to speak like in 10 minutes. And then I was like, hello, can you tell me? And they were like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. They assumed that I was of a different race because of how I sounded on the phone.
The unconscious biases that we as successful Black women have had to endure throughout our entire career. That's a topic for another show that I would love to. Seriously, it's something I have in the works because, they see you and like, you don't sound Black, and what
Right.
does that mean? Like, which means I sound intelligent, which means Black people are not automatically perceived as intelligent. So yeah, I don't want to go off on that
Yeah,
tangent.
that's a whole other show.
Yeah, that's a conversation for a whole nother day, and that one is going to be really valuable and eye-opening. But I think for us as women and for us as women, female leaders, I think it's going to be an opportunity for us to get a lot of that off of our chest in a
Yeah.
way that is educational.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Absolutely.
plan. So, if you had to give someone who was watching this or listening to this, who is terrified of opening up the conversation for fear of what they might lose
Mm,
if they, because that's one of the fears that I find a lot of leaders are having. They don't want to lose their base or their core or their clients or offend. So they stay silent about what their values are. And
right.
and that's on both sides. And I find that true leaders, when you look at, Mother Teresa, you look at Martin Luther King, you look at
Hmm.
Napoleon Hill, not afraid to take a stand for what they believe in and use their voice, but at the same time having that safety of meeting people where they're at
Sure.
and helping be an influencer and persuade them to think about things maybe from a different perspective or a different way. So for those people who are listening and watching this, either live or on the replay, so don't forget to say hi when you're jumping in. What would you advise people from a leadership standpoint of how they can use their voice more powerfully in their leadership, whether it's at home, at work, or in their communities?
I would say, particularly for the ones that are, small business owners, entrepreneurs, the best way for them to use their voice is if they have a fear of using their voice for fear of neighbors or whatever it is, they may say something, then there's a fear of, what people may say in the community. One of the best places that they can go is to their local human resources or human relations commission.
Hmm.
And I would assume that all counties have one. We do in ours, and I'm actually on the board there. And so go to an area that's a safe place where you can talk about community issues. You can talk about issues that may be in your workplace where you're feeling that you've been discriminated against or being treated unfairly, or you observe something that you want to address and need guidance. That would be the first place I would say for people to go, where it's completely neutral. There's no biases taken or anything of that nature. Your local human relations commission, where they can provide guidance around that. And then talk about the discussion. Because what happens there is when people bring things to us, we don't advertise or communicate who brought it in because it's strictly anonymous. But what we do as a body is that we figure out a way to bring the community together, a way to share it so that the community as a whole can embrace it and share what their thoughts and opinions are. Because that's the whole purpose, is to sit down and have the conversation, to share and address what the issues are. Because the longer that you hold those back, the longer that you put off a conversation, the more the tension builds up. And then when you have more tension, then you have more divide.
Exactly. I
Yeah,
love
people just want to be heard.
Yeah, no, I love that you shared that because it gives people a sense of support and community. I think a lot of us go into this journey, this new way of being, feeling alone, and we have to figure it out by ourselves. So,
Right.
really having access to resources and places where you can feel supported and safe is
Yes.
important, even in your space of leadership. Like, okay, this is new ground for me. I'm not sure what to do. You
Right.
Yeah, and it really, like, a lot of us don't reach out for support. Leaders can
Right.
be incredibly independent. So that was
Sure.
perfect.
Yeah, yeah, they can be very independent, and particularly, as a woman, we think we gotta resolve everything. We
Yeah.
gotta find the answers. We gotta help other people, and we can't do it all. And so we have to reach out to resources that are available,
Mhm.
free, no charge. You just come in and share, what's happening, and allow others to really figure out, what's the resolution to guide you along the way, so that you're feeling supported. But for those that may not know if their county or state has one, they can contact me and I will look it up and tell you that you do have one and find out what your county is, because it is so important to use those valuable resources that are right at our own back door.
Mm.
And a lot of times people don't know it exists.
No, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So we're coming up on our 20-minute mark. Any final words that you want to leave with people?
My final word, I guess, would be is that, irregardless of what type of leader you are, be a good leader, be a transparent leader, be someone who will, go beyond what you would normally do. Help your fellow man, help your neighbor. It's not about race, it's not about color, it's not about gender. It's about the fact that we are all human beings living in this wonderful country. And so, if we don't help each other out, then who's going to? We just need to take the time, help one person. And if you help one person, that one person will help someone else. But having the opportunity to just have those simple conversations, about how someone is feeling. You don't know how someone is feeling unless you ask. I mean, I went to the local post office the other day and I, casually just asked the lady how she was doing. And then we just ended up having a short 5-minute conversation.
Beautiful.
But that's all it takes. We're so busy in this hustle and bustle, but with COVID, we shouldn't be as busy. We have 5 minutes every day. So if people would take 5 minutes every day to talk with someone that you don't know, to get to know someone that you don't know, and see if you can help someone that you don't know, the world would be a better place.
That's beautiful. I love that. Get curious. Check in
Yeah.
with neighbors, and I love that. Meet people where they're at as well, because not everybody may be as evolved as you are. People are just starting to awaken to some of the deeper issues that this country has been having for a long time. And so
Right.
I love that. Just check in and see how people are feeling and be present to that. And it does so much for making us all feel seen and heard and acknowledged in
Yes.
this crazy world that we're living in right now.
Absolutely, because it's going to be. I mean, 2021 is knocking at the door, and I think we're still going to be in this for a little while longer. So, we've really got to get better at being better.
Yes, love that. Great final word. Thank you, Linda, and thank
Thank
you
you.
everyone who joined us live. Please share what a big takeaway was for you out of this conversation, whether you're joining live or on the replay. We'd love to get your feedback and love to know how we can help you further. And until next
Absolutely.
Wednesday, we'll talk to you then. Have a great week, everybody.
All
Bye.
right.